really the focus of this session is how organizations can move beyond the manual risk tracking and outdated compliance tools and instead embrace the Oracle Fusion risk management and advanced HCM controls to stay away ahead of risk before it actually impacts your clients or your business. So, guys, we are privileged really to be joined by two distinguished speakers. Arun, the CEO of TRP Global, who will set the stage by exploring the evolving risk landscape. Arun will and then introduce to us Oracle Fusion risk management, followed by a deep dive into advanced HCM controls with real-world case studies to illustrate how these tools can bring immediate business values. We're also happy to be joined by Lashmi, all the way from the States, who will field in some of the questions that you guys might have. So if you have any questions, please you can post them on the chat. So Lakshmi is a senior principal product strategy manager at Oracle, based in San Francisco, specializing in risk management cloud. Lakshmi will build on his foundation with her product expertise by providing engaging insights into how Oracle strategy is enabling organizations to move from reactive compliance to proactive automated risk management. So we're looking forward then at the end to a very dynamic Q&A. So please, as mentioned earlier, drop your question into the chat as long as you go. Once again, we welcome all of you. Let's dive into this engaging and thought-provoking discussion. And by the way, colleagues, this SIG will be recorded for future reference. So over to you, Arun. Thank you.
Thank you, Mozi. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I think glad to see some known faces and a lot of new faces as well. Very quick introduction. We work for a small Oracle boutique partner called TRP Global. We specialize in risk management, security, GRC, internal audit, compliance, governance, that area. And we help customer in their risk management and risk transformation journey. I think I'm glad that we are here with South Africa user group in terms of giving us an opportunity to present that back to their community and their user. We already work with many customers across the region, but we are glad to meet so many other new faces as well. Lakshmi, a quick introduction from your side.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arun, and thank you to Muzi as well as the South African Oracle user group for having all of us here today. And hello to all of the audience who've joined us. My name is Lakshmi Rajamohan, and I am part of the Risk Management Cloud and Advanced HCM Controls Product Management and Strategy Group. I'm looking forward to sharing with you all more than a decade's worth of experience in this space. So take it over, Arun.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi. I think the idea is that giving the audience a little bit of brief about Oracle risk management. Sorry, I think Lakshmi, I'll just mute you for a second. Okay, thank you. So giving an idea and overview to the audience about Oracle risk management and advanced HCM control. I think what it is, why this is needed, who are the typical audiences for, and when that is needed as well. Okay, so I think with that, I'll quickly go through some of the slide. The agenda is to talking about why the evolving risk landscape in terms of why organizations start thinking about risk management from geopolitical tension, pandemic, and increasing cyber threat across the world, along with any lot of other reason. Introduction to the fusion risk management and advanced HCM control. Then deep dive onto some of the HCM control and touching on some of the ERP risk management, talking about the high level use cases and benefit. But I think the main part of the story is please chip in about your question, your feedback, your comments, and that will help us, the user group and the Oracle, to take care of that eventually in the future. So again, it's a quick introduction. As I said, we work with many customers in the region. We are about 130 people, 35 people now. A lot of people have recently joined and going through some training, and these are some of our global references customers. Usually the regulated industries, which are healthcare, which are public sector, BFSI, which is banking, financial services, and insurances, and typically any logistic company and telecom company, they have a strong regulatory environment which they need to operate, from their regulator to their government to their shareholder. And then there are some specific jurisdiction as well. There are some other listing requirement in the US, across the world, and that's kind of driving the need for considering risk management. And then as you are all are aware about the geopolitical tension happening across the world over the past sort of 4 or 5 years, and then also pandemic that has bring the risk management topic onto the board level, where every organization has no other option to think about how do they identify risk, manage risk, and contain the risk um, in the global landscape of doing businesses. Okay, so these are some of the news and some of the snippet from the internet, from the news. And as you have seen recently, the Marks and Spencer breach, there was a breach in Air France as well. Even I got a email from Air France about the data breach themselves because I'm registered there. And some of these newses and pop up in terms of identifying the challenges, the continuous challenges organization go through, from identifying and mitigating the risk they operate in. And the more technology evolution, the complexities in technology, the complexities in running businesses are are also driving some of the challenges and the sometimes we call them um, blind spots, sometimes we call them gaps in the processes and gaps in the technology, which are sometimes overlooked and produce challenges for organization. From the technology point of view, we work with significantly with Oracle technologies, and I hope most of you do. Oracle is taking a good care of providing a secure solution to you from an Oracle application across finance, supply chain, procurement, projects, fixed asset, everything you can think of from a back office to front office. But the client has now a shared responsibility in terms of making sure the access in the system is correct, and they are continuously monitoring what's happening inside their system. We work with UK Council, and I think I've reviewed a business case for them when they have submitted for their internal board approval, and I find it very, very interesting and very, very insightful. They said in a way that they have explained that this is like building a house. You have built up, say, a $1 million house, right? I'm sure that once you build the house, you're going to start putting it into the locks into the doors and the windows, right? And then you're going to start putting a CCTV monitoring outside the house. You wanted to see who is coming and who is going out. So similarly, you wanted to put some smoke detection. You wanted to put some carbon monoxide detectors in the house as well. You wanted to put some sprinkler system for fire prevention. You may have a fire extinguisher in the house. So these all are classic example of identifying the risk of living in a house, building a house, and then mitigating those by putting the right control in place. And that's where our job is, alongside Oracle, alongside customers, to give them a security layer where they're continuously monitoring the threat, and they're taking a remediative action within a reasonable time. Okay, I think these are some of the statistics and KPIs in terms of why there are some of the drivers for risk management. I think the classic one I usually talk about, the typical duration of a payroll fraud. Sometimes it takes a huge amount of time to identify. And I hope that you all know from your personal experience, from your professional experience, that when the money goes out of the door, it is very difficult to bring it back, or it is more sometimes expensive to bring it back as well. Okay, so you see from a association of a certified fraud examiner study, they said 5% of a revenue of a typical organization has lost to fraud. That could be in a form of directly financial loss, reputational loss, and various other forms of loss as well. And you see some of the number coming from an IBM study, where an average cost of a data breach is about a $5 million. So assume a $1 billion company or a 400 $500 million company, that's 1 to 2% of the money which could have been gone to the shareholder, could have been gone to the company back for investing into anything else, has now gone down the drain. And then think about the reputational damage. I usually give an example internally for an early training. Say you got $100 which company you're going to invest your $100. A company who has a issue on their annual report that they have gone through a fraud or a duplicate payment or a loss of revenue, or a company who has tighter control in place who's going to give you a better shareholder return as well. So the question is that which one is your triggering point, and I think that will drive a little bit of why risk management for you, and that could be a primary driver, and then you have so many other secondary reasons as well. So maybe I'll take a pause. Lakshmi, what's your point of view? We see some customer, but you from an Oracle see thousands and thousands of customer talking to you about risk management. What are the sort of top one or two key driver for them to consider?
Yeah, can you hear me, Arun?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different drivers. I think one of the foremost is the entire move to cloud. We're transforming digitally. Of course, your back office software, your ERP, your HCM, your SCM is all moving to the cloud. But one thing people need to keep up with is the demands of that, because now all of your data is available in the cloud and is, you have and of course there is the movement to the cloud, and of course some of the risk that you're talking about here on the screen around, it's not just what's here, right? We're talking about from a human resources, human capital management point of view. There's world beyond that. There's, from a financials compliance point of view, there's many drivers. I mean, the most sort of functionality that people come to risk cloud for is to manage their separation of duties violations. So making sure their roles are secure, users are able to perform only what they need to perform to maintain that principle of least privilege. So those are some of the main areas that people come to. But drivers as such is the entire shift in the industry towards more data-driven controls.
Yeah, thank you, Lakshmi. I think when I was a graduate, I think there was a global IT company who had, I think, 15,000 fictitious employees being created and all. So yeah, I think those events are not common these days, because you have not only put a lot of advanced controls, but a lot of inherent control as part of the core Oracle Fusion application. But still, the challenge is if you are not monitoring, you do not know what's happening. So that's kind of a challenge as well. So now I think these are some of the KPIs coming from, not from ourselves or Oracle. These are coming from global research bodies, from professional services to the regulator to Gartner, that the industry is shifting from a traditional sample based audit where you can check something which is working, but you may miss out on something which is not working, rather than looking into the complete information, because now you have the power of data and the power of compute with Oracle cloud application. Okay, and that is driving the regulator, the auditor, even the organization to more towards data driven decision making. And that is not only in the areas of your finance, your supply chain, but in the areas of your security and audit as well. We have an experience working with a holding company recently in the Middle East, that a breach has been quickly identified and quickly contained by the solution which we are going to speak about today, and then they were able to take a mitigating action within sort of a couple of hours of that happening. So Lakshmi, where do you see that shift from a traditional based audit model to a more data driven audit model, and how do you see clients are equipping with that, and where Oracle is helping them?
No, absolutely. I actually had a conversation with someone who, in a playful way, said that audit is moving from clipboards to dashboards. That shift that they're talking about, and instead of working with a small sample set of data once a year, new audit standards are pushing the limit to continuous data driven testing of all of your internal controls, right? So, and that means efficiency in the process, stronger assurance across all the levels in the organization, because now you're not guessing from a handful of transactions, you're actually monitoring all of them. And if I have to, give some examples, world over, SOX or SOX-like programs are shifting towards automated controls. And of course, we are hearing about privacy regulations popping up everywhere, and they expect ongoing monitoring of data access. And so with a solution like Oracle Risk Management Cloud or Advanced HCM controls, auditors can show regulators not just that a control exists, but that it's been working and working every single day. So that's the assurance you're providing to basically everybody in the organization, whoever is involved in this process. And that not only provides the required automation, but a peace of mind for your business executives.
Cool. Thank you, Lakshmi. And I think I come from a professional services background. Sorry, Lakshmi, I think there's a little bit of if you can go on mute when you're not speaking. Thank you. Thank you. Super. So as most of you know, and Lakshmi, you know very well, I come from professional services background. I've been an auditor myself, audited around 243 clients. Actually, I maintained a list for a long time. And then now my colleagues are telling that the way the technology and the shift toward data-driven audit has changed, that has actually reduced their workload as well. So the big four and the other professional services firm want to do more data-driven audit because now they can do more audit in a shorter time. So that's kind of there. They can meet their revenue target. They can deliver that audit saving to customer, and which is, I think, as a Gartner is talking about a little bit here on the right side, that company who has more invested into an automated control, a study shows that they can significantly reduce audit fees, which is a capex investment for the customer as well. And I have colleagues telling that that is kind of good for both auditor and auditee, where both save time, both get benefit from that saving, where auditor can do more work and the client can use that budget to do something else as well. So that is also changing in a good way, in a positive way as well. Okay, so now I think as I said that we're going to talk about why risk management, what is risk management a little bit. We're going to talk about when this is needed, and we're going to talk about who this will benefit to. So typically risk management are needed for an external audit requirement. So you large organization, multi-country, or complex businesses or regulated businesses, you have strict audit requirement from your auditor and sometimes your regulator to make sure that you produce transparent accounts, and which is also needed for your shareholder, for your listing requirement, and so on and so forth. And then you have your internal audit and internal risk management team who may report to board or audit committee, and they have a requirement to continuously auditing the system as well, because external auditing is, as Lakshmi touched on, is a bit seasonal, but internal auditing, it needs to provide that continuous monitoring layer. And Oracle Risk Management solution, including HCM control, is the only integrated option to do it for Oracle. And then you have your regulatory and compliance requirement. You have to report to government. You have to report to regulator. You have to comply with various regulation coming across the world. And these are sometimes the driver for risk management. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the data privacy requirement, like the European GDPR or the other privacy and data protection regulation coming across the world. And we were studying with a couple of customers in South Africa. They're specifically in South Africa. There is a South Africa Electronic and Communication and Transaction Act. Recently there was in Botswana, there was a similar requirement came in. So every country is trying to protect their citizens and their businesses data. So we will see more requirement around the privacy coming in, and Oracle has then tweaked the solution in a way that you can use those system to comply with those data protection regulation as well. Lakshmi, you work with customer almost from every other country. How do you see countries and customers are coming to you from a data protection regulation requirement perspective?
That's definitely, like we said, right earlier, we were talking about that shift in how we're moving towards more automated controls. We're right in the middle of it, right? So whether it's GDPR in the Europe or PDPL in KSA, we've seen, and I think we also have Protection of Personal Information Act in South Africa, and these demand very strict control over employee and vendor records, and these are popping up all over the world. I mean, there's actually, I've seen a map of it where there's almost every country, and some of them are still in the works. They're being developed. So it's a matter, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. This is happening across the world. But yeah, I definitely agree with everything that you're saying, that there is stringent requirements. We have to map, real attack tactics to controls like access management, monitoring, anomaly detection, especially in the face of privacy.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Lakshmi. So, but the requirement does not stop here. Then you have, I think, Lakshmi sitting on a large number of US customer. We work with a handful of them as well. So there are listing requirement not only from a US, from any other stock exchanges. So you have strong requirement around that. And then you're going a little bit into a softer direction of running a good governance and reputational, say a large, say $10 billion logistic company. You do not want their name coming into a news of a data breach or cybersecurity incident, weak control, or very, very manual controls after investing millions, if not billions, into technology and automation. And then the whole fraud prevention. We actually got a project in UK from a public sector customer just on the basis of one control, which is duplicate invoices, because they have experienced in the past a huge amount of invoices processed in a shorter time. They did not have enough control to check. And as I say, and in your personal experience as well, you got a plumber coming into your home, you can given them $100 advance. If they do not come up, there's hardly something you can do. So when the money gone out of the door is gone out of the door. And sometime for some jurisdiction the cost of recovery is so high, you would not just pursue. So a lot of stress coming in from, specifically we work with a large number of public sector client, and that's where their job is to protecting your and my taxpayers money. Okay, so from that point of view, fraud prevention is kind of sitting in a heart of a conversation. And because this shows a tangible value, we are working with a lot of internal audit driven risk management project where they wanted to produce tangible benefit back to their business, because their business is their client, and fraud prevention is taking a center stage there. And then the overall, I think, as I say, it's a joint responsibility between the customer and Oracle. So overall, to you have to have measurement to safeguard your own data, because that's your asset. The purchase price, you're buying a material for the cost of building a material. If you are in a manufacturing, the cost of delivering project, the cost, if you're in services business, the cost of various things in the organization, they're all or your asset which are making you unique and winning in your business environment. So a competitor gets to know your vendor, who you are buying a chip from. A competitor gets to know where you're buying your chemical from, at what price, and all of that will impact your competitive edge as well. Someone knows your executive salary, someone knows your employee details, and so on and so forth. I used to do a government project, a very secret department, and I was briefed about safeguarding of the data, importance of that, and kind of that really opened my eye that there is not only financial risk, there are a lot of circumstances you could put in if the data is compromised. Because to you and me, the data looks like one or two small component, but and maybe one or two random piece of a puzzle, but maybe there is someone, a bot, a dark web algorithm who is collecting your data and putting those puzzles together to kind of get a story out of that as well. So it's our joint responsibility with Oracle, with the customer, to make sure that the data is safe as well. And these are primary driver for why risk managements are needed. And then this is the crux of the message as well, that now for Oracle Fusion customer, if that is your engine, that is powering your growth for getting you digitally enabled for getting a competitive edge on your business, then the Oracle Risk Management Cloud along with HCM Control is uh, is the only solution for an integrated approach for risk management. Where Lakshmi, do you want to talk a little bit about the enterprise-wide assurance? Then I can take over the use cases.
For sure, Arun.
Yeah.
But before we go into this, right, I
Yeah.
wanted to make a comment on what you mentioned in your
Yes,
previous
please.
slide, especially the last few points, right? We're going beyond just laws. There's also lots of frameworks that, like MITRE ATT&CK and NIST, that guide how you need to defend your ERP systems or HCM systems and keep them secure. So so it's just a matter of making sure that you are in compliance, or you're in awareness first, right? You need to identify that these are uh, you know some areas that you need to focus on, and making sure that you are covering yourself on all of these areas. So from that point of view, if you could go to that next slide,
Yeah,
Arun.
excellent. Yeah, thank you.
That's basically where we are coming from. Our goal for the Fusion Risk Management Cloud or Advanced HCM Controls is to strengthen controls that are part of your cloud transformation, to make that shift to data-driven controls easy and seamless, right? And so we have purposefully built a system. So I'm going to just focus on that picture that you're seeing on the screen. We've purposefully built a system of internal controls that is embedded within your Fusion Cloud instance. And it has sort of the four major components. There's the data science aspect of it, which is sort of fore and foremost. Maybe we'll talk about that further in the conversation. There's documentation aspect, making sure everything is in one place. You've got workflows that are that's embedded in there, triggers as and when people have activities to perform, and of course dashboards. So you have complete view, full transparency, of course, depending on your roles that you're performing. And these collectively automate activities and tasks required for internal controls with a focus on security, the IT teams, the financial reporting objectives, and more, right? And so the goal in a summary, and you're going to expand on this, Arun. So the summary is to monitor user access and activity, especially around separation of duties, sensitive access, identifying anomalous transaction configuration changes by continuous monitoring, and of course, making sure there is efficient collaboration across the organization with just one repository of data. So that's where we're targeting. And Arun, if you can take over and talk a little bit more about how people can achieve some of these goals.
Oh, thank you, Lakshmi. That's very, very helpful. So, sorry, I'll just. Oh, thank you, Lakshmi. So, sorry, going back. So, I think typically when we started working with Oracle Risk Management about six and a half years ago, Oracle used to have a handful number of use cases, but I think Oracle, as most of you know, Oracle Cloud comes with 4 releases every year, and with every release they add significant functionality, significant use cases, and now we are looking for around 11-12 use cases overall. So I'll try to go through them very, very quickly, and I'll try to go through them in an order I like. So Lakshmi may disagree, so we're gonna listen to her feedback at the end of this monologue maybe. So I usually start talking about, which is Oracle used to talk about, the building blocks of risk management. So it's like you're building a 100-floor building. Okay, the foundation has to be very, very strong. The foundation for a lot of problem in the area of risk management is the access. Okay, so who has access to perform certain activity, and then you can monitor those activities as well. So first, if they do not have access to do something silly, nothing silly is going to happen. Okay, so that's the whole concept that I usually start with. The use case 3, which is basically the job is to monitor the sensitive access and segregation of duties, which is the use case 3 and 4. So the idea is that the typical journey looks like that. Once you are designing, maybe I'm trying to answer a question I'm going to ask Lakshmi later on, but anyway, once you the ideal scenario is once you design your business processes, you think about which sort of personas and role you are going to create, and how you are going to give access to them, not only what they can do in the system, but on what data. So you have 5 business unit. You may have a person creating purchase order in 2 business unit, but that person or the PO buyer may not have access to the 3 other business units. So they have access to do perform or create purchase order, but only for 2 entities. So you need to start thinking about that. So Oracle Risk Management Cloud, a specific functionality within that, a specific sub-module, as say, takes care of that in an automated way. It comes with a library of hundreds and hundreds of best practices scenarios, and you then just identify which ones are relevant for you. And sometimes we do that for customers. Sometimes they are smart themselves to identify these are the control will be applicable for us. And as I say, Oracle given hundreds and hundreds of content out of the box. You quickly configure that, and then that sets you in terms of automating the monitoring and reporting for any issues coming up. And I think the ideal time is to do that at a design level, but some customers do that after go live, after phase 1, after phase 2, or even after a couple of years of them operating on Oracle Fusion. I actually spoke to a oil and gas customer this afternoon from Middle East. We're going to kick off a project maybe in sort of next 3 to 4 weeks, and they have gone live in 2027. Okay, and now we are talking in 2025. So after 8 years of time, they started thinking about risk management because their board has directed them to kind of do this activity in an automated way, because currently they spend a huge number of manual hours to do that. Okay, so as I say, Oracle has given a huge number of library out of the box content. You identify and you map which ones are relevant for the risk you're trying to mitigate, and you automate that in the system. The process is quite simple, quite fast, and within not months but within weeks you can live with monitoring, so you can get some quick value out of that. And then I typically move into automating user access review. So user access review and certifications, this is usually an audit requirement or an internal audit requirement inside your organization to make sure you certify every user at least once a year, certify them what access they have, and are they allowed to have those accesses for the upcoming future. Because sometimes you know that people move department, you are into buying and selling company, so it's not always easy to stay on top of your user access. So this is an opportunity for you to do it in an automated way, and which is Oracle does not support, but we can talk about this, that this will also help you in terms of your subscription management. This will help you to identify are the right people have the right access, and they need that access for the subsequent subsequent period as well. So usually we start with that, and then once we baseline your segregation of duty and sensitive access control, which are relevant for your organization, they are automated and monitored. That may drive some custom role requirement if you are implementing risk management after your role design, security design, or even after go live. Okay, if you are doing it during an implementation, then you can actually build custom role validating the design. And Lakshmi knows we had one of our initial customer, a large utility in the Middle East, maybe one of our initial big project, where the CFO said that I want GRC to go live before ERP. And a lot of people got surprised because that does not usually happen. But his rationale was that I wanted to test my business process control and my security during an UAT stage using the GRC module. And I think that's a perfect, we want every CFO to ask that. But that's a perfect example of how you can use GRC to give yourself an assurance or give your digital transformation assurance that how um, design or security design should be built, how business process control should be built. And then there is a specific functionality has been launched not recently but fairly a couple of years ago, which has been very popular with customer, which is basically you can then use the risk management module for your user provisioning system, enabling them for segregation of duties checking. And this was an ask from customer for a long time ago, so thank you to Oracle to making that happen. It's a classic example of I joined say SAOUG tomorrow, Musi request an access for myself, or I go on self-service and self-request some access. It is going to get through an SOD check, segregation of duty check. If there is no segregation of duty, the provision then goes ahead. If there is a segregation of duty issue, then it goes through an approval, which is needed for a lot of regulated companies and a good practices as well. And it's kind of a gatekeeper of a problem. So I think traditionally a significant number of SOD tools or the GRC tool had been detective, but slowly this is becoming identifying the problem before they are gonna happen. So Lakshmi, maybe I'm going to ask a quick question to yourself. Maybe I've given a hint to that as well. Where do you see client implementing GRC? Do they implement usually in the beginning of a project, a fusion transformation, somewhere in the middle, or after they go live with their applications?
Yeah, the customer that you were speaking about just now, Arun, who
Yes.
said, "Let's go live with Oracle Risk Cloud before ERP," had the right
Mm.
idea.
Yeah.
Right. It's what we are always sharing with our customers, because when you identify the need for having a very secure ERP, very secure HCM from the get go, even before you design your ERP security and HCM security, you've thought about risk as your one of the most important things. You're not thinking of it as an afterthought, and that encourages or enables you to have less issues in an ongoing basis. And there's some of our most successful customers have followed similar ideas, where they have thought about including the risk cloud implementation at the very beginning. It doesn't have to be before your ERP or HCM implementation, just do it along with it. So once you have your policies in place, what areas you want to monitor, as you build your ERP and HCM security, you design them, you can make sure that those roles that you're building are SOD free. The users that you're giving access to don't have more access than they need, right? And eventually you're going to have, you're going to add on. And we'll talk about some of the best practices as we go. But start small, keep it simple, start early. That is the most. If there was one message I want to share, that is,
Mm.
start when you're starting your ERP and HCM transformation, because if you wait, that means you're going to have some problems in your systems, and you'll have to spend time, effort, and money fixing it afterwards, which is much harder than fixing it before the fact.
Yeah, thank you, Lakshmi. Lakshmi, you are aware the recent win we have in Saudi Arabia, and the CIO told me that I'm gonna look fool in front of my board that why I have not done it before. Okay, so I think apart from all the value, there is a huge embarrassment when you go to your board and ask for more money, and they say why. You say actually I built a house which we all have been living in the past 5 years, 2 years, 3 years. But sorry, I forgot to put the locks in across all the doors and the windows. See how embarrassed that conversation is going to look like. So apart from that, okay. Now, once your baseline is stabilized, which is your user access and security, then I think slowly you can start moving into a bit of we call them process control. Sometimes you call them configuration control. There's a various name for audit control, configuration control, automated business control, and so on and so forth. But Oracle has redefined them and as an end-to-end process control to give you a process assurance. So pick up a process, go on end-to-end, and then you go ahead and start identifying a combination of controls into that. And we're going to try to do a little bit of semi-deep dive into a couple of them. But the whole idea is that your baseline is secured, so you are very confident about the people you have given access to. Okay, so you can tell them who they are, you can monitor them, you are continuously monitoring them, and you have access review in place. You are checking and segregation of duty issue before you are giving access. All of that part is sorted. So now the risk come in to say, hey, by the way, I may have an unauthorized activity from an authorized user. Okay, and that's where this business process control comes into play. And they are a combination of variety of control which we're going to talk about, and they will give you those end-to-end business process assurance. Because ultimately when your auditor or regulator come in, they start looking into your financials, your procurement, your project data, and all of that. They are also asking the same question, that how do you get assurance from that? Okay, how do you get assurance that all the POs are created are the legitimate PO? How do you get an assurance that no payments has been paid twice as a mistake, as a duplicate payment? I think we have a large telecom customer in the region, and I think once we identified some duplicate invoices, we got very excited. Like duplicate invoices been identified by the system, but then once we started looking deep, they were all invoices for the real estate. They kind of rent from various real estate company. So the invoice numbers were very similar. The invoice date was same. The amount was same. The descriptions were also very, very similar. So definitely the algorithm given by Oracle needed to be a little bit tweaked for your business, the way you have configured your Fusion. And that's where we come in as an implementation partner to help you with that. And again, in this area as well, Oracle also have hundreds of controls and 100 out of the box best practices scenarios available to go and configure. And sometimes we can build custom control, but we usually recommend, and Oracle also recommend, to get value from your initial investment, which is overall close to 400 out of the box controls and best practices scenarios for you to configure for your business. But then you may have a specific requirement for a custom control which could be built on. So the system given to you pre-integrated like your Oracle Fusion, you don't have to worry about anything. You go and configure something out of the box, or you have an option to start doing some custom control as well. But again, the whole idea is that you get the out of the box value as quickly as possible, as much as possible, before you start considering any custom scenario. And that's the middle layer, which is giving you the process control, the process assurance. And then the last layer is actually bringing the foundational layer, which is the access security, and the middle layer, which is the process security and assurance, together as form of your enterprise risk management and the risk and controls matrix, which is the documentation of your risk, documentation of your control, and then you can do self-assessment on the control, and then you can do independent assessment on the control, and then you can report on those control and weaknesses and what other compensating control you have. And typically your internal controls team, sometime internal audit team, but mostly internal controls team or your ICOFAR team, which is internal controls over financial reporting, they would be using this module to kind of document the risk and controls within Oracle Fusion, and also any other control which lies outside Oracle Fusion, to document that, test and certify that, and kind of producing a single source of truth for your organization. And I think it's a good start for integrating, but then some customer go beyond and they started looking for internal audit, looking for interface management, and then there are other use cases which could be supported, or you can start looking into some other option as well. But these are, I think, foundational layer, kind of a must-have for any Oracle Fusion customer. But Lakshmi, what is your feedback overall? You see more customer. Are they adopting to all the use cases, or there's an opportunity for them to consider more?
There is, again, there is no one size fits all
Mm-hmm.
for any solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about, what they adopt. Usually customers tend to start, especially if they're starting their cloud transformation, starting their ERP, HCM transformations, they start off with monitoring access first.
Okay.
If they are already live, they start with monitoring user activity, because you're going to get right away, you're getting the information about where my problems are, the actual risks versus potential risks, right? Where people might have access and they might do things, which is a long-term thing. You definitely need to monitor that, but they may start here. And of course, the managing internal controls is again something that customers have used to manage their risk and controls matrix. And I think, going back to your question about, are they using all of it, some of it, more of it, it depends from customer to customer. A lot of our successful customers tend to eventually end up using all of our capabilities and more. So this is only talking about, what areas we cover, right? We're talking about, at the moment, we're not just monitoring access over Oracle Fusion Cloud. We're not just monitoring access for your Fusion ERP and HCM, but over EPM, which is another Oracle solution, over any other application that you may have. You may be able to bring in your user and role access into Risk Cloud and perform separation of duties there. So there's a lot of extensions, integrations that you can build, and you can monitor access in your OCI applications.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of integrations that are available. This is only our core set of capabilities. And if anyone listening to our conversations today is interested, please, we are very happy to follow up with you on that.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you. So now let's do a little bit of, I would say, a bit of, let's call them semi-deep dive, because I'm just concerned of timing. So here you can see a typical example of a hire to retire processes. And when I used to be auditor 7 years back, 6 years back, and a lot of clients asked me, hey, by the way, tell me which control should I implement, which gonna get me my audit green, or the auditor would be happy. And I say, unfortunately, there is no one control which is like a which is gonna solve all of your problem. It's a combination of controls and activity which is gonna give you that assurance and the security, right? So it could be that the initial security control in terms of who has what access, and then some inherent control in the Oracle Fusion application, the base application. I call them inherent control. Some people call them embedded control, or I think here you can see an example of some setups and configuration and master data, which are your control or configuration or option available as part of your Fusion offering. Could be a configuration which does not allow you to change a bank account on a PO, on an invoice, which could be a control where you're not allowed to open a period after closing or something like that. So these could be your inherent control. Then you have audit control of frequent changes to supplier bank account, frequent changes to payroll method, frequent changes to bonuses and bonus file and all of that. Then you have some monitoring control about same user not doing critical activity in a whole process. There are clear segregation in place. So it's a combination of variety of control, from an access, from an configuration, from an audit, and then various master data and the transaction related control. Then you have your whole approval management system. So you define your delegation of authority, you define your Oracle approvals management engine, custom approval flow, and all of that. You may have some control outside lying Oracle, which is also could be captured by the top layer of risk management, which is certifying the control as well. So it's a combination of control and configuration, which is gonna then help you go towards that assurance level as well. And I think, again, beyond this set of control, you have your organization policy, procedure, your change management in place, your operation management in place, you're handling with emergency access, you're handling with privilege access, and what you're monitoring for your super user, what you're monitoring for the changes done on critical item, and so on and so forth. But this is a classic example of our typical hire to retire processes, from planning and managing candidate to onboarding them, then employee creation, then creating plan and workforce, manage compensation, then if employee have a timesheet or a time card kind of thing, then going to a payroll calculation, then processing that payroll, then getting them paid, and then reconciling them back to the from payroll to the general ledger as well. And then that could be supported and assured from a combination of control, as I say, from who has what access, some critical configuration, some setting which you have selected for your Fusion application implementation, and some reporting control, some monitoring control, and so on and so forth. So Lakshmi, how do you see clients are leveraging combination of, say, native Fusion control and advanced controls provided by the risk management solution? Is there a fine balance, or clients are more intended to use one type of control, not the others?
I don't think I want to talk about balance, because there are certain things that native controls cover,
Mhm,
some things they can't cover. For let me give you an example with ERP. That's the one that's popping at the top of my head. You
mhm,
talked about duplicate invoices earlier. Oracle Cloud ERP will not let you create exact duplicates. That's a native control, right? But how do you guard against someone making a change to say one or two characters in an invoice number and creating a duplicate? So your everything else is the same. Your supply is the same. The amount is the same. The currency is the same. The date is the same. But your invoice number is slightly altered, modified for whatever reason, right? It could be a genuine reason. It could be somebody committing fraud. We don't know. That cannot be caught by native control. So you do need a combination of native. Of course, you need to use all the native controls because it is provided for you, right? It's
yeah.
included in your Oracle Cloud subscription, but also take advantage of what Oracle Risk Cloud provides, because it is on top of what your native ERP cloud or HCM cloud already provides. There's a lot of controls that is built into the tool, and what we call advanced controls is on top of that, allowing you to ensure and put in place a lot more automation around areas that you need to be wary of.
That is correct. Thank you, Lakshmi. And I think usually when client jumps on to say, hey, by the way, I like really Oracle Fusion risk management. They give me 400 controls. So excited. We say, hey, by the way, yeah, we are happy to help, but we can also help you to take the benefit from your initial investment, which is the Fusion inherent control. As in Lakshmi, you said that some of the inherent control, there is no way you can replace that setting at all in advanced controls module as well. So now just conscious of time, we're going to need to touch on two more quick topic before we open the floor for any question or any feedback. So this is a procure to pay process, again from a role and security perspective. Then there's a combination of setup and configuration, some master data control, some approval. Procure to pay is everything about approval, and then some reporting, some monitoring in place about, from say duplicate invoices to POs created after creation date, which is the no PO no pay policy enforced by customer, one-time supplier kind of a thing, discrepancy in invoices, two-way, three-way, four-way matching, which is also enforced within Oracle Fusion application, vendor, blacklisted vendor, debarred vendor kind of a thing, and then a lot of thing could be done on an expense management. So Oracle has some strong control on expenses as well, split expenses, duplicate expenses, and so on and so forth. So again, a combination of control and definitely a combination of processes like policy, procedure, change management, and operational management could take you towards that nirvana of 100% assurance, which is actually very hard to achieve. But again, all organization, from an Oracle, from a client, and from us as a organization, we are also trying to achieve that balance, that up to what point we are happy, and our auditors and our accountants are happy that the way we are performing that transaction, we are keeping track of the evidences, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now this is a classic example of how to return procure to pay. And the last topic we're going to talk, and then I have one topic for Lakshmi to touch on. So this is basically, now we talk about what is risk management. We talk about why is this needed. We talk about when this is needed as well. Lakshmi mentioned in the beginning is ideally, but there is no right or wrong time. And I think I'm going to quote one of Lakshmi's colleague as well, and he said that if you have if the yesterday was the best time to implement risk management, the next best time is actually today. And now here you can see the CFO management, the chief audit executive or the chief accounting officer could be the beneficiary, and then you have the process line, process control, and process leads, business process leads, and then you have your whole IT team from a security CISO point of view. You have your risk and control, internal controls team, SOX team. Then you have your internal audit team who can get benefit from that. You have external auditor as well, and then you would have your regulator as well who can start taking benefit. Once these controls are configured, then you can set up various dashboards. There's a lot of out of the box dashboard available, but you can start creating specific dashboard for specific personas, and they can then see what you want them to see, and they can see the data for the organization also you enable to do. So on top of Fusion security, we can build, and we recommend to build a small layer of Fusion risk management security and role, just to make sure that you give the right people the right access to see the data, the right data. Okay, now I have the most important slide, because how can we do meetings these days without talking about AI once? So we have done our justice by not talking about AI. But Lakshmi, this question I get from customer and you get as well every day: what is Oracle doing in the area of risk management from an AI point of view?
Yeah, it's a. I always I find it a little amusing when this question comes. It's just like the word risk,
Mhm,
right, Arun? When you think about the word risk, it means many things to many people.
mhm,
And in the same way, when you say AI, it in like out of context, it means different things. The imagery that AI invokes could be robots, could be
mhm,
a search in your favorite browser, right? And especially today when the market is rampant with generative AI and AI based, AI agents, a lot of different things are happening, a lot of changes happening, and all very exciting, right? And so in Oracle Risk Management Cloud, we don't use the technology for the sake of using technology, and across all of Oracle, right? Because we are focused, hyper focused on making sure all of this new technology helps our customers, our end users, especially, right? Simplify what they're doing, streamline what they're doing, and allow them to interact and engage with the tool as much as possible. So, with Risk Cloud, from the very beginning, from our day one, we've been built on AI foundations, because if you think about what the tool is helping you do is go through every user's access, including all of their transactions, configuration changes that are happening over a specific period of time. And so we are a heavily computation intensive software, right? So we are doing a lot of activity that requires the help of underlying the technology that we use. We're calling it semantic AI, and the reason is these are techniques that help provide context and understand the relationships between the data. And that's how we're able to show up, pop up to the end users that here is probably something that is high risk, that you might need to monitor this, right? So, and of course, this improved reasoning also comes from newer technologies, including, well, the older technologies talk about graph search, A-star search, natural language processing is almost, evolving as we speak, right? We're in the age of generative AI, AI agents, and of course, there is a lot of focus across Oracle, not just in Oracle Risk Management Cloud, to enable our customers, to put in our hands of the customers the data with the most in the most insightful way possible to help them make better decisions. So there we go.
awesome. Thank you, Lakshmi. I think with that we are exactly on the dot. So, Muzi, we gonna hand it back to yourself.
Thank you very much to you, Arun and Lakshmi. That was a really highly engaging presentation. Excellent. We've had many presentations, but I think this one tops it, tops many of them in terms of being engaging. Um, so there was one question that was raised. We'll give it about 5 minutes, Arun. If you have anything to share, and Lakshmi as well, we'll give it a bit more, five more minutes. We would love to have you for even longer time at our Oracle user group conference. That will be
No,
very,
no,
very nice. Yeah.
no, no. Thank you, thank
So,
you, thank you.
e- any more questions, colleagues, that you can pose to? Okay, we've got Gamo.
Please come.
Hello. Yes,
Hi.
I think this is more of a question for Lakshmi, and she may have touched on it, but you spoke about the benefits of running this before your implementation, right? I wanted to know if perhaps is there a benefit to running it concurrently?
No, absolutely. Thank you for the question. This is Kamo, right?
Yep.
There is benefit. I want to requote what Arun said. If yesterday was the best day that you could have implemented, today is the next best day, right? So doing it before is definitely something that you can consider. But a lot of the customers that I meet with do it concurrently. And that helps in many ways because as you start your HCM implementation, your ERP implementation, are thinking about how to go about your security design, when you have already put in place some of the access, at least start with access controls, right? Some of the access controls that you might want, or your policies, think about your policies, where your biggest risks are. And one of the things we do recommend is work with an experienced partner in this particular area because they might be able to look at your audit findings, at your overall environment, and tell you which areas are highest risk for you and prioritize a small set of access controls, configuration controls, transaction controls for you that you can get started with, especially when you're implementing and you're concurrently implementing your ERP or HCM and you have your risk management in place, then you're making sure that your security design is as good as it can get. So you're making sure you're eliminating or making sure you're at least designing for ensuring there is separation of duties, ensuring users only have the right amount of access they should have. So doing it concurrently is or before is both. I think there is merit to both. But a lot of the customers that reach out to me are also 3, 4, 5 years into using their ERP and cloud HCM. So no harm in starting right away because at some point you need to learn. You need to fix the issues that we identify for you, and then go forward with a cleaner ERP or HCM system. Does that answer your question, Kamo?
100%. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions? This has been a great engaging discussion.
We've got Dr. Leslie Matswane. That's one of our Oracle board members who deals with membership. Dr. Leslie.
Yes, Leslie.
Thank you, Musi and Lakshmi and Arun for a wonderful presentation. Maybe I'm digressing a bit, but I think this is relevant, particularly in the risk management space. So, in respect to Oracle licensing, I think what is unclear from time to time, especially at the infancy stages of implementation, would be the difference between or the relationship of the privileges, the roles, and how those two add up to licenses. I'm not sure if either of you would want to clarify a bit more on that.
Lakshmi, you wanna pick that up?
I can start and feel free to add on to it, Arun.
Yeah, please.
So, Dr. Leslie, thank you so much for asking that question. So, for uh, Risk Management Cloud, the way it works is I think you're asking a slightly different question, but I'll address maybe something that's top of mind for a lot of people here, which is for ERP, it would be the license, how you would license is based on your financials and procurement users. And the reason, and the same thing for HCM is your hosted named employees, because Risk Cloud monitors all of these users. Now, you might be asking a slightly different question if I'm getting your question right, is how do we know if all the people that have access are using it from a licensing standpoint? Is that what you're asking for, Dr. Leslie?
An extension of that would be how do I establish the instance when the role or the privileges, the roles roll up to a license where now it has got implications to our subscriptions?
From your financial standpoint, I think there's a slightly different way to look at it, rather than looking at it as, okay, from a licensing point, from a subscription point of view, am I overusing? I think that's where you're going with this. Rather than looking at it from that point of view, yeah, rather than looking at it from that point of view, we take a more it's a risk-based approach, right? So we are taking a risk-based approach wherein you are able to make sure that it doesn't matter about subscriptions. It's all about whether people have the right access to do the right things. Are you authorized? Are you, should you be doing what you're doing? Should you have access to what we've given you access to? So that's where this discussion, the focus is. It's less about making sure, your licensing is accurate. But I think some of this, when you clear your security risks, some of the other things will automatically go away.
Yeah. Thank you, Lakshmi. I think I'll add one point that if you are looking for the subscription of the solution we spoke about, talk to your Oracle account executive, and you can quote Lakshmi so she can get you special discount from Oracle. Okay. Number one. And number two is you. And I think you using the subscription piece, and I think slightly touched on that, the user access review with a combination of I think couple of other custom script we have created, so we can help you if you need some help. Reach out to Muzi or Debs from user group. I think they can connect. We have developed certain additional use cases. As I said, that Oracle have those 11 use cases, but we as a partner develop certain additional which might be of helpful for the scenario you're looking for.
Wonderful, thank you. I think the key takeaway for me there would be, as we do the reviews and corrections, or we rectify, we unintended or otherwise, we end up sorting out the licenses, ensuring that those who've got access to certain services, modules, etc., are doing so within the correct prescripts and controls. Thank you.
That is correct. It's a combination of a couple of activities. Thank you, Dr. Leslie, for asking that. Muzi, back to you, please.
Yeah, so thank you very much, colleague. So in conclusion, to both you, Arun and Lakshmi, what is one key takeaway from this discussion that you'd like to share with us?
Lakshmi, you go first, please. You may be talking on mute.
All right, so now I should be audible. I don't have one, I have four. I'm going to go very quickly. Takeaways for me was excellent engagement with the audience, but takeaways for the audience that have been listening to us or are going to watch this as a replay, four things. So first, we've spoken about this a few times in the conversation today. Start early. It doesn't have to be before your ERP implementation. Do it along with your ERP or HCM implementation to make sure that you're minimizing the activities that you're going to do later, right? So just take care of it up front. The second thing is deploy in phases. Go small, don't go big, big bang approach. Don't deploy. We spoke about 300, 400 algorithms that are pre-built. Don't deploy all of them. Start with a very small number, highly prioritized, high risk areas you want to cover. That way you're getting value quickly and right away. Okay, so that's number two. Number three is, start with our pre-built algorithms. Don't go creating custom algorithms right off the bat. You have time to do that, but start with our pre-builds. Deploy them, again, see value quickly and right away with what we have built for you, so that you can go ahead and deploy more in the future, right? And then the last point is engage with a partner who knows, who's in the know. And typically this would be somebody who understands the risk advisory area, has experience with risk management cloud and advanced HCM controls like our TRP here. Engage with such a partner so you can get the maximum value. And of course, we are all standing by to help you. So that's my nuggets of wisdom for all of the folks that have attended today and are listening to us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. I think I'll just mention one thing is basically, typically I've seen that when a typical fusion project happen, IT take control of the project. So my only one takeaway is ask question about what we are going to do about security, what we are going to do about risk management, what we are going to do about continuous monitoring. The more question you as a business user will ask back to your IT team and the project team, they have to consider such solution to implement that in the earlier rather than later. So please feel free to ask question to your colleague, to your line manager, to your board, to your CEO, how you're going to take care of security, how you're going to take care of the risk management. So with that, thank you, Lakshmi, and thank you, Muzi. Back to you.
Thank you very much to you, colleagues. Just as a reminder, our conference is getting closer, 9th to 11th of November. So we'll like to see all of you there, and we're looking forward to seeing you, Arun, and
Yeah.
possibly Lashmi. We'll enjoy this discussion again,
Thank you,
even for
Muzi.
longer time. Yeah. So thank you very much, colleagues. And as mentioned earlier, this will be posted on our YouTube channel for your review. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Really appreciate. Thank you everyone for
Excellent.
sticking in.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.